Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really going into some dark places. We're looking at true stories about obsession, about dangers that just pop up unexpectedly. And these aren't fictional tales. These come straight from people who, well, lived through them. There are source material for understanding the hidden side of relationships and just how unpredictable threats can be. So our mission today is to unpack these really unsettling accounts, not just tell the stories, but pull out some maybe surprising facts and insights that might help you see things a bit differently, be a bit more aware. Let's start with this one story. It begins quite simply, really. A guy thinks he's put a short, pretty intense relationship behind him. He'd been involved briefly with a woman, Mandy, a former colleague from a GameStop he used to manage. It burned bright, then fizzled out fast. He moves away to Dallas, gets a new job. Mandy's in the past. Or so he thought. Then months go by, and bam, he gets this really jarring phone call. It's the detective from back home. Says he needs to come to the station, something about Mandy. But the detective reassures him, you're not under investigation.
That assurance almost makes it worse, doesn't it? Your mind starts racing.
Exactly. He said this cold dread just washed over him. Gut feeling, something was seriously wrong. So he gets there, and the detective just lays it on him. A bombshell. They got a tip from an informant. Mandy was trying to hire a hitman.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They ran a 2-month investigation, sent in an undercover officer, and during the interrogation, Mandy confirmed it. The target was him. He said his jaw just dropped. He thought it was some kind of sick joke, like something out of a movie.
Completely surreal. Hard to process that.
Totally. But then they showed him the file, played the recordings. Mandy just coolly admitting to the whole plan. I mean, the sheer nerve of it is staggering.
Yeah.
But you have to ask, what pushes someone to that point? To actually try and hire a killer over, what exactly?
Yeah. And that's where you really see let's call it the twisted logic of obsession. It's fascinating in a disturbing way how a perceived slight or this intense fear of being exposed, it can escalate. There's something called catastrophic misinterpretation where the fear just balloons, becomes this overwhelming existential threat in their mind. It's completely out of proportion to reality.
So it wasn't just fear, it was distorted thinking.
Precisely. It makes you ask, right, what happens when rejection or that fear just completely warps someone's view of reality, of boundaries? Often it links to what we might call an inability to handle ego injury. Any perceived threat to their self-image feels devastating. They lose touch with rational thought,
Leading to these extreme reactions like Mandy's.
Exactly. And these obsessive tendencies, they can create dangers that just linger, even after breakups, even after legal steps are taken. I remember a case, a colleague's sister, her ex-husband, even after divorce, even while in prison, was still a threat. He got paroled early, started harassing her again. It shows these things don't always just end.
That's terrifying.
It is. And outsiders often look at these cases and think, there's no clear motive. Well, yeah, because their reaction is totally disconnected from the reality of the situation.
It's really unnerving to think something so minor or forgotten even by one person could trigger that kind of, lethal response in another. How do you even guard against that when the threat's logic is so warped?
That's the challenge, isn't it? Often the biggest red flag is that disproportionate reaction itself. If someone's response feels way, way off compared to the trigger, that's a danger sign.
Right.
Mandy's conviction nearly a year later finally brought out the motive. It was bizarre. She'd once told him, confided in him, about how she'd intentionally destroyed an ex's upcoming marriage, lied to his fiancé, ruined everything.
And she was scared he'd tell someone.
Terrified, absolutely terrified he'd expose her. But the real kicker, like you said earlier, he'd completely forgotten about it. Didn't even cross his mind until it came up in court. She got 10 years for attempted murder. It just hammers home. When someone's grievance is wildly out of sync with the actual event, that's a dangerous mental space.
Okay, so from that kind of cold, calculated obsession, let's look at something different. A story where charm flips to terror almost instantly. This involves a high school student. Her first love, seemingly, met a guy, Adam, at a concert. He seemed smart, charming, instant connection. First date sounded perfect. Nice bistro, then a walk in a park by the lake. Very romantic. Then comes the turning point. Adam confesses. It was his first kiss, ever. And she lets out this little laugh. Not mean, just sweet, maybe surprised, finding it endearing.
Okay.
And immediately, he slaps her, hard, across the mouth.
Whoa. Just like that.
Just like that. She tastes blood, feels totally mortified. And then he starts apologizing profusely, blaming himself, begging forgiveness.
That immediate swing. Apology after violence. Classic manipulation.
Yeah. The fallout was huge. She withdrew from school. The emotional, psychological toll, immense. And Adam's calls started escalating. Apologetic at first, but then the blame shifted. He started saying she shouldn't have laughed. It was her fault he hit her.
Ah, the blame shift, textbook abusive behavior.
Then came the ultimatum.
Yeah.
Chilling stuff. He basically said, get back together with me or I'll have to do something terrible to you, everyone you love. I've got nothing to live for without you anyway. She said she laughed at first, like defiantly, thinking, how could someone get so obsessed so fast? But then the shock hit. The reality of his threat.
That initial disbelief. Very
The
hard.
climax.
Yeah.
It's just horrific. She comes home one day, finds her grandparents murdered.
Oh, no.
And on the living room wall, written in their blood, who's laughing now? Adam was found later, dead. Suicide. In that same park where they had their first kiss. And the narrator. She lives with this profound guilt, feeling like somehow everything that happened is and was my fault. It's just, it's hard to wrap your head around that switch. Charm to immediate brutal violence.
Yeah.
What's the psychology there? What flips that switch?
Well, often it's not really a switch being flipped, but more like an underlying instability that's just looking for a trigger. Adam's reaction to the laugh, that sounds like something often called narcissistic rage.
Narcissistic rage.
Yeah. It's this explosive, completely disproportionate anger when someone feels their ego, their self-image has been slighted, even in a tiny way. It wasn't about the laugh itself. It was about his fragile self-concept feeling attacked.
So incredibly fragile ego.
Extremely. And the cycle, he pulled her into violence, then apologies, then blame. It's a form of intermittent reinforcement.
Okay.
Mixing cruelty with apologies or affection, unpredictably, it creates this really powerful, confusing psychological bond, makes it incredibly hard for victims to leave even when they see the abuse.
And the blame shifting.
Crucial. What's really telling here is how easily he pushed the blame onto her. That's gaslighting 101. Making the victim doubt their own reality, feel responsible for the abuser's actions.
Too insidious.
Absolutely. Which is why recognizing those early signs, even small ones, like that sudden disproportionate reaction and trusting your gut is so incredibly important. It signals something deeper and likely much more dangerous is going on.
And it really shows how those extreme reactions can come from places you just don't expect. It's not always the person you're already wary of.
Exactly right. You see these wildly disproportionate responses sometimes for what seem like minor issues from people who might otherwise seem normal. I recall this one case from some research. A woman, Rhonda, she just casually admitted she'd poisoned her ex-boyfriend's dog after they had an argument.
What, poisoned his dog?
Yeah. Thankfully, the dog survived. But her casualness about it, the sheer extreme nature of the revenge for apparently a small fight, it was chilling. It just shows, extreme behavior can stem from a really warped sense of grievance in someone's mind, someone you might not suspect.
Okay, finally, let's shift to a different kind of threat. The unseen predator. A situation where a fun night out becomes terrifying. This story is from a college student back in the late 90s. She's out in New Orleans, decides to try a little neighborhood bar near Bourbon Street. Seemed cozy. She meets the bartender, describes him as cute. He pours her first drink, a beer. But after maybe half a pint, she suddenly feels incredibly dizzy. Way too fast. She knew her tolerance, knew something was really wrong.
Alarm bells immediately.
Yeah, things get hazy fast. Then, these two older men, total strangers, come over to her table. They claim they know her roommates, see she's struggling, and offer to walk her back to her dorm.
Okay, that's suspicious. Claiming to know roommates.
Right. And then comes this moment of just terrifying clarity. Even through the fog, the drugs, whatever it was, she realizes they're walking her the wrong way. Opposite direction from her dorm.
Oh man, pure panic.
Pure panic, adrenaline kicks in. She starts yelling, slurring, but yelling, no, not this way. Screaming, really, help me, help me.
Good for her, using that adrenaline.
Her screams actually worked. A group of college-aged guys walking by heard her. They came over, they confronted the two older men who tried to brush it off, saying she was just acting crazy.
It's a typical deflection.
But the college guys didn't buy it. They stood their ground, threatened to call the cops, and the two older men just bolted, ran off, didn't say another word.
Wow, those guys showing up.
Yeah.
Lifesavers.
Absolutely. They stayed with her, got the police, an ambulance, and the really chilling part came out later.
What was it?
The cute bartender, he was in on it. Paid off by those two men. They'd point out women. He drugged their drinks.
Unbelievable. The bartender himself.
Yeah. It left a huge mark on her, obviously. But the big lesson, vigilance, and the power of having people around looking out for each other.
Yeah.
Especially when you're somewhere unfamiliar.
If you look at the bigger picture here, this story is such a stark reminder. Danger isn't always, the obsessed ex or someone you have history with. Sometimes it's hidden, right there in a social setting you think is safe. What's really insidious is how it came from someone seemingly trustworthy, the bartender, within that environment designed to make you relax.
Right, the place you're supposed to feel comfortable.
Exactly. And it highlights how predators can operate systematically, targeting vulnerability, using someone on the inside. It really raises the question, doesn't it? Beyond just, physical defense. How do you protect yourself when your judgment might be clouded? When you're in a new place?
That's the key question.
It comes back to that situational awareness, having a plan, and honestly, the power of collective safety. Those college guys intervening, that wasn't just luck. It was people paying attention, looking out for each other, trusting that feeling when something seems off, even if you can't immediately pinpoint why.
That's such a vital point. And the idea of a safety plan really resonates. What does that actually look like for, say, students or anyone in a new city?
Well, it's about being proactive, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as texting a friend, hey, I'm going into this bar, planning to head back around midnight.
Okay, just basic info sharing.
Yeah. Share your location maybe, have a check-in time, even agree on a code word with friends, something you can text or say if you feel unsafe but can't talk openly. And the big one, try not to isolate yourself, stick together. What those college guys did. It wasn't just brave, it was that they were present, aware of their surroundings. That collective awareness is huge. It can literally save a life.
So, these stories, they're definitely unsettling. They really remind you how unpredictable people can be. From, extreme obsession and revenge to these hidden dangers just lurking.
They all point back to similar things, really.
Yeah, they really underscore listening to your gut, noticing those red flags we talked about, the disproportionate reactions, and just never underestimating the potential for harm, whether it's from someone you know or a complete stranger. You've heard these accounts now. Maybe take a second and consider, how might these insights change how you look at interactions or how you approach new places, new situations? Just thinking about how to stay safe, stay aware. This has been a pretty chilling look into some truly unsettling true stories of obsession and unexpected danger. We really hope these narratives offer some valuable insights into, well, the complexities of human behavior and just how crucial personal safety is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the shadows. And hey, if you found this deep dive compelling, if you appreciate content like this, please remember to support channels like Horror Docx. They bring these kinds of stories to light. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe to their channel. Until next time, stay safe out there and keep seeking out knowledge.